What's up there, nipple knickers? Today, we're going to be doing a review on a device that I picked up for the purposes of the review. The Haze and Raven's Moon 502. Look at that beautiful son of a bitch right there. Now, I've been using this for a couple of days. 2 straight days solid, actually. And I know there's a lot of controversy about this RDA. As far as pricing, as far as airflow, as far as the drip tip getting stuck. A lot of reviewers have seemed to have had a ton of problems with this thing, so I just wanted to kind of give you guys a review on my experiences with it over the last 2 days. So I think what we're going to do first is we are going to take you guys down to the table. I'll pull apart, show you the packaging, I'll show you the RDA, I'll show you how the build that I have in it and a couple of builds that I tried on it. I've had 4 different builds in this so far, so I'm going to give you my experiences with this particular RDA, and then we'll come back up on top, we'll vape it, we'll give you pros and cons, everything that I've managed to figure out in 2 days. I know it's not a long time, but in that 2 days I've been able to gain a lot of knowledge about this little banger right here. So let's bring it down now, and then when we get done, we'll come back up, we'll talk pros, cons, price, the whole 9 yards, and hopefully give you guys a good idea about this. Maybe you should go pick one up. Alright guys, so here's what we got. The 502 RDA by Haze and Raven's Moon Vapor, made in the USA. Now before we get into this thing, I just want to show you guys this packaging. Now, I own a performance shop, I'm a fabricator, a machinist, an engine builder. So this to me is super cool. I've ordered transmissions and motors and stuff that have come in packaging exactly like this, but what an attention to detail. And I mean that the engraving, you guys can't see it, but the engraving, the laser engraving on this particular logo and everything here is just absolutely phenomenal. And you know, it's little touches like this that that make a product better. But anywho, let's get into the actual RDA itself and what you'll get when you receive your package. Alright, so we'll take the cover off, just held on by 2 rubber bands. Got some nice foam in there to protect everything. We got our jammies bag, and those of you that know Haze know that word. Now, us guys on the East Coast, this word isn't funny, because this, let me give you an idea of how we use this word. So your buddy gets new wheels on his car. They're ugly as shit. There's 3 stars. They're 1992 3 stars, and he puts them on his Honda Odyssey minivan. And you say, yo, bro, what's up with those jammies? Those things are fucking disgusting. That's what jammies mean. If you get some sneakers, damn, look at these new jammies. That's what that word does. So us to the East Coast, when to hear Jay say that's totally normal. So it's funny that we have this bag. But anyhow, you get a bunch of spare O-rings. You get this screw right here that you can utilize in the top of the positive post, and we'll go over that. It does restrict your squonk flow just a little bit, but then there's some extra screws for the deck. You've got an extra grub screw here for the center post as well. You have your big Allen key for your grub screws. And then if you guys can see this, this is amazing. This is another one of those attention to detail things that you don't get with a lot of the Chinese made stuff. Each one of these is not only giving you the size, the quantity, but it also tells you where they go. This O-ring is for the top cap. This O-ring is for the base. O-ring for the base. Screw for the negative clamp. That's amazing. When you get a bag full of screws and you have no idea where they go, it's terrible. You lose a screw and then you spend an hour going through the bag of screws to find the one that fits, or you put an O-ring in the wrong spot and it leaks like hell. So this is amazing. I'm really glad that both Jay and Brandon from Raven's Moon decided to do this. That's awesome. Now, if you can see, and one thing I need to mention with you guys, when you get this little teeny tiny grub screw is going to be in the 510 pin. This is technically your squonk enabler, I want to say, or disabler. So if you put this in, it becomes a regular RDA. If you take this little grub screw out, it becomes a squonking RDA. So you have to make sure if you're going to squonk with this, you need to take this pin out of it. Alright, so we got the jammies bag. Now, here's the actual RDA. Now, I'm going to have to tell you guys that I have been using this for the last 2 days, so things are going to be a little bit looser than normal. But when I got this drip tip was in here tight, but it wasn't so tight that you couldn't get it out. I mean, it literally just popped right out. All I did was wiggle it a little bit back and forth like this, and boop, it popped right out. So no problem. So you're going to get a nice 810 drip tip, and believe it or not, I don't know if you guys can see that side profile there, how it's got that little dip in it. It feels amazing on the lips, in the mouth. I hate the way that sounds, but it contours very, very well to the jammies on your face and makes for a very comfortable vape. Now, I've been running an actual custom tip in it that matches my mods a little bit, and that's an 810 tip, and that one actually fits in there perfectly fine, nice and tight. You can hold on to the RDA and it won't go anywhere. So this is what it's going to look like. Now, mine on the bottom here, you'll have to excuse, it's got a little bit of juice on it, and I have a little plastic protector on there so it doesn't scratch up my drip tech. But 502 J Haze logo, Raven's Moon logo. I got serial number 44 and made in the USA, all nice and laser etched in there. Now, machining quality on the barrel itself, I don't know if you guys can see that, but the barrel and the deck are perfectly flush with one another. The only thing that's making this one look a little not so flush is the fact that I have the protector on it, but perfectly flush. The machining is flawless. You will have, you know, obviously you need to clean all your RDAs before you use them. You'll have a little bit of stuff on there from the foam that's in the box, but it's nothing you can't just, you know, clean off in the sink real quick. And there's a couple of marks on mine, but that's from me. So this thing straight out of the box was absolutely beautiful. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, why are there no airflow holes on the side of this RDA? How does it get air? Well, we'll go over that in a minute. Actually, pretty cool how this thing gets air. And the reason why it gets air is actually really cool as well. So let's pull this apart. We'll pull the top cap off. Again, I mean, look at this. No O-ring. Look at the tolerances on the machining. I can barely, I mean, maybe a thousandth move this thing inside the barrel before the actual O-ring contacts. The machining, absolutely flawless on this thing. All right, so here's your top cap. You have a little bit of a step design on the inside before you get to the drip tip. Nice, solid O-ring in there. Machining is beautiful. This actually right here is your single coil airflow. Again, Jay has said several times he doesn't know why he did it, and he shouldn't have done it. If he could do it again, he would get rid of that piece because it doesn't really matter. But, you know, if you're using this RDA, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be using dual coils in it, so this isn't really even going to matter, and we won't go over it too much. But remember how I said you're wondering where that airflow comes from? That side and that side are your two main airflows. That's your single airflow there. Not really much about that. But your airflow actually comes in, and you can see where it's been machined right there. And you can see that it actually goes down through there and then into the barrel itself. And we'll go over that in a second. So that's how you get your airflow on this thing, which is amazing. It does make it a little bit, I don't want to say tricky, because it's not tricky to line it up, because you can see it. I know a lot of people said they had trouble seeing it, but you can see it. It's really easy to see. It's really easy to line up. So I don't know what people are talking about, but let me take a sip of something right here so I can actually talk like a normal human being, and then we'll get to the barrel and the deck. Alright, so here, I do have a build in this, and I'm not going to take it out, but I will show you everything about this. Now, those two air holes on the top cap, let me wipe this off. It's a little bit juicy here. Alright, so we showed you the little air sections on the top cap. Now, if you can see right here and right here, very easy to see. That's where your airflow is going to go into this Type 3 hard anodized ring, and it is going to travel down inside the barrel around and out the air holes, and we'll show you more of that when we pop the deck and I can show you the rest of the barrel. But basically the easiest way to line these up is just go like this, and you can see right there those holes match those holes, and then you just flip it in, boom, and you flip it down and everything's all matched up. Now the other easy way to do it too is when you pick up on it, you can see where that airflow is right there, and you can also see there's a line here and a line here. You line those two lines up with the airflow on the inside there, and you just pop it down. Very easy, and then you can adjust it left and right, you know, to suit the airflow that you're looking for. Now, as far as airflow goes, anybody who said that this thing is restrictive must be trying to breathe through it, or they're forgetting to remove it from their lips after they vaped on it. Because I have several RDAs. I have a drop, I have a dead rabbit, I have a nudge, I have a goon, I have a recoil. The airflow on this reminds me of the Cloudsboro Clouds caps on the recoil RDA, and also reminds me of the goon version 1 with all 3 holes wide open. Also, it reminds me of the Kennedy. It's got the same basic draw as a Kennedy 24. So I don't see why anybody would say that this thing has restrictive airflow, because it absolutely does not. Unless you're vaping like a Bonza wide open with all the holes open where you could literally breathe through it if you wanted to, then yeah, this might feel a little restrictive to you, but I don't see the restrictiveness. I was actually expecting much more restrictive airflow based on what everybody was talking about, and I didn't get it. It's absolutely fine. So I'm going to screw this onto a mod real quick so we can show you the barrel. Excuse me. Alright, so I've been using this on an RSQ, Hot Sig and Rig Mod Worldwide. You can see zero, literally zero overhang. It fits absolutely perfect on this mod. It looks great. Alright, so here's the barrel. Come on, focus, you fuck. There we go. Machining, impeccable. I have to give it to whoever Brandon at Ravensmoon is using for machining. They're doing a phenomenal job. The tolerances are insane. Now what you're seeing, that black ring in here, right here, is a Type 3 hard anodized ring. That ring is non-conductive because of the anodizing. So if your coils for some reason happen to short out, they are not going to short to that ring. Now the one thing you do have to be careful of is if you're building big like 3.5 millimeter coils, when you put this together, you can potentially short out your coil on this guy right here. I know Mark from the Vaping Postman had an issue where his coil shorted. I haven't had the issue, but something you kind of need to mention. Just make sure that this right here isn't contacting your coils before you fire the thing. Now, the airflow is the most unique part of this. Now, I've been using this for 2 days straight, and I honestly have to say that this is the best Squonking RDA that I currently own. And the reason that is because if you guys can see, the air hole for the intake air is right here. The air hole that goes to the coils is right in that area there. Try to do this through the camera, right there. So you can see that there is a 90-degree separation between where the intake air comes in and where the actual air exits and hits your coil. That 90 degrees of rotation of airflow allows you to basically squonk the ever-living shit out of this thing, and then you can lay it down on its side, you can flip it upside down, you can do whatever you want to do, and it will not leak. Because the airflow is up so high, you would literally have to have it like this so that your coil hole is at the bottom, tip it on its side, let it fill up with juice, rotate it 90 degrees, and then flip it upside down before it would actually leak out of the air holes. Now, every single Squonking RDA that I have currently, my Dead Rabbit, my Drop, my Bonza, I think those are the only 3 that I have in squonk mode right now, but those 3, at least 5 times a day, I'll accidentally over squonk. I'll go to purge. As soon as I purge, it blows a shit ton of juice out the side, and I gotta clean shit up. And it gets all over my mod, and I have to do that. I've been using this thing for 2 straight days now, and I have not had so much as condensation coming out of this thing. So it has been absolutely incredible. But again, that is an amazing, amazing setup. All right, so enough of that. Let's get to the infamous deck. Like I said, I'm not taking the build out of this one because I'm enjoying the shit out of it right now, but I will tell you what I've done with it so far. Let's get the cotton out of the way though so we can see it. Alright, so now this deck, from what I'm told and what I've seen, is reminiscent of the 454 Big Block from Raven's Moon. I've never seen that RDA in person, so I really can't tell you what is going on with it or what it's all about. All I can do is kind of give you an idea with this one. Now, I know there's been a shit ton of talk about this particular center post and how it's set up. If you look right down, you have your grub screw on top that holds your coils in, and you have 2 very small holes right there. Now, those very small holes, when we squonk this, the juice comes right out of those holes, falls right down on the cotton, and then you can't really see it in this particular video with this build in it, but right where you see I have no cotton, there are actually bottom holes as well. So when you squonk this, you're going to get juice that hits both the top of your coils and the bottom of your coils. Now, the coolest part about this is when you release the bottle, when you release the squonk bottle and it starts to draw that juice back in, it only draws it in through the bottom holes. The top holes do not draw. There's a valve inside that closes and will not allow the juice on the top to get sucked back down. So now, instead of you having to wait for your coils to wick up from the bottom, you're getting juiced on the bottom, you're getting juiced on the top, you're utilizing the heat of the coil and gravity to bring the juice down into that. So I have not had a single problem. I can literally squonk while I'm vaping, and this thing will saturate these coils without an issue. Now, the build that I have in it is dual 26 gauge wrapped in 42 gauge, and that looks like, I think there's 6 wraps a piece. They're ohming out to a 0.18. Now, I know that everybody has said, you know, 0.3 is the sweet spot on this, 0.3 is the sweet spot. I found that for me, 0.18 to like a 0.25 is a sweet spot for me. And I'm running this at about, let's see, 70 watts. So 70 watts is pretty wild. Works pretty good, actually. And 70 watts gives me a nice, you know, ramp up time and everything else. Now, as far as deck clamps go, you can see right there that the bottom leg is captured in that clamp. The easiest way I found to build this thing is to take one of the screws completely out of the deck, take one of them loose, and then swing the clamp out. Now, the way that I did this is I took both of my top leads of my coils, stuck them in as close as possible, tightened them down, and then finagled these bottom leads in, and then I left my tool in there when I tightened them down so that I could straighten everything out. I don't get what the big deal is with this, because this thing was so easy to build. Like, it literally took me no longer than any one of my other RDAs. And yeah, the cotton's a little dookie because I've been running it on my TS. But you guys get the idea. This thing is not hard to build. You take your coiling tool, you stick it down in the coil, you lay it on top of the deck. You can pull this leg tight with a pair of pliers, and that'll straighten your coils right up. And then wicking it, literally, I just made the bottom of my wick real small, went down inside the coil, pulled it with a pair of tweezers, tucked it back in down the bottom there, wrapped it, as you can see, in kind of a counterclockwise motion around the top post here. And then this way, once I get it wrapped around the top post like so, whenever I squonk this, boom, right on top. So overall, this thing has been absolutely amazing. So now I'm going to show you a coil that I came up with and show you how versatile this thing can actually be and what you can do with it. Now, I made this coil and I called it the ignition coil because, you know, 502, kind of funny. It's triple 24s wrapped in 42. It is an 8mm diameter coil. So what I did, you could see that leg in the middle and the leg on the edge. Now in this, I placed it over the center pin and down, and then wicked in between the center pin and this coil. The vape from it was absolutely phenomenal. And the best part about it was it stopped you from having to line this up. And that's one thing we didn't go over. We'll go over that quick. You could see right there where the airflow comes out for the coil there. You want to make sure that that is lined up with your coil. So when you put this top cap back on, you want to make sure that that airflow is lined up with your coil, which is right about there. So now with that coil that I put in, the ignition coil right here, you don't have to worry about that because you've got a full 360 degrees of coil in this thing, and the flavor and everything was intense. The only reason why I pulled this out is because you really need a dual battery because there's so much coil material here. This coil ohmed out to about a 0.3, but the ramp up time was insane with a single battery. You really need to get some serious voltage in this thing to ramp it up faster. But amazing build, and it kind of shows you the versatility of this deck. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. So we're going to put this back together. We're going to go up on top. We're going to talk about pros, cons, everything else that goes along with it, price, how you can get it, all the other stuff, and we'll see you in a second. Alright guys, so that was the up close and personal for the Haze and Raven's Moon 502 RDA. Try to get that hand motion in there, right there. There we go. Alright, so my thoughts on this thing. Absolutely amazing. And I'm not saying that just to blow smoke up Jay's ass, because a lot of his fans have been accused of, you know, being this, that, the other thing. Well, you know what? I bought this RDA because I could feel Jay's passion in this. I could feel Brandon's passion in this. I know that it was something that they truly believed in. And I'll tell you what right now, made in America, made in China, made in Taiwan, all that shit doesn't matter. You know what matters is the passion behind the project. This thing could have been made in Taiwan or the Philippines, where the Philippines, they make amazing shit over there. The quality could have been there anywhere, but it's the passion behind this, it's the design behind this, and it's everything that went into it, and how good Jay and Brandon have been with their customer service and everything else. That's what makes this RDA what it is. Now, we're going to go over some pros, some cons, and we'll give you the price and how to get it and everything else. I'm in love with it so far. Probably the best RDA that I have currently. Well, actually, I should say it's a tie between my Kennedy 24s and this guy when it comes to flavor, airflow, the whole 9 yards. But there's some plus or minuses. We'll get into it. All right, so pros on this guy. Airflow. Airflow is amazing. It's got just enough turbulence in it to really, really do something cool with the flavor. I'm not sure what exactly it's doing, but this versus like my Kennedy, the Kennedy's very super smooth and you get this, you know, a very consistent flavor. With this, you get just a slight little bit of turbulence in it, and that turbulence is amazing. It actually really, really increases the flavor. So I don't know what it is about that turbulence, but it really, really has an effect on the flavor in a good way, a very good way. Also, the airflow, not restrictive. I don't care what anybody says, but listen. That's the airflow on that. Let's see Dead Rabbit. Dead Rabbit is actually more restrictive than this thing is. That's a full breath. That's a full breath. 100% hands down, Dead Rabbit more restrictive than this guy is. Now when you get into something like a Bonza wide open, yeah, not restrictive at all. So this has a little bit less airflow than a Bonza wide open, but you close off one of the rows of holes on the Bonza, same thing, exact same thing. Airflow is great. Another pro, quality. The machining on this thing is phenomenal. Now, I am a guy, obviously having machines myself and knowing how to machine, I like to see machining marks in this. I like to see the little areas from the little teeny tiny end mill that they were using to cut out these air slots in here. And I don't know if you could see how teeny tiny those machining marks are in there. Those two little end marks right there, and you can kind of see some end mill marks inside, but I love that. That just to me shows that this was handmade. These things are not just pumped out by the thousands in a CNC machine that has tolerances that are all over the place because the machine has made 20 million parts and nobody's bothered to change the tooling. These are perfect, perfectly machined. Third Pro, that drip tip. It feels amazing vaping it. It doesn't get hot, nothing. Fourth Pro. This thing, I chain vape the shit out of it with a 0.18 coil in it sitting on my DripTech TS, which is 3 batteries. So basically running, it's close to 100 watts at that point. Do the math on the calculator, 0.18, 4.2 volts, right around there. It gets warm, but so does everything else. This gets no warmer than anything else, and believe it or not, it actually cools down quicker than most of my other RDAs do. My Bonza will stay hot forever. But then again, if you're chain vaping at 150 watts, what do you expect? It's going to get hot. When I had this thing with a 0.7 coil in it, at like 65 watts, it never get hot. Never, never, never get hot. So you don't have to worry about that. Other pros, that squonk mechanism, oh my God, super pro right there. Squonk mechanism is amazing. You can squonk the shit out of this thing. I mean, I can literally, listen. Of course, there we go. I literally just put half of this bottle in that RDA and it drew it all back in through the bottom, and now watch. Absolutely nothing. No leaking, no juice. You saw me just vape that thing. I had it completely upside down after putting a half a bottle of freaking liquid in it, and the only thing I got was this little bit right here from my jammies. Other than that, nothing. The squonking works perfectly. The build deck, amazing. Absolutely love it. It does take, if you're a brand new builder, you're going to have trouble building anything. Not just this. You're going to have trouble building the Nudge from Suck My Mod. You're going to have an issue with that. You're going to have an issue, you know, building an OG Goon. You're going to have an issue building a 3-post Kennedy. You're going to have issues if you're a brand new builder, and this is no different. The only difference is that instead of the coils being like this, they're like this. I mean, is it more difficult than a velocity deck? No. Is it more difficult than a clamp deck? No. It's just different. So, I don't know. It literally, every build I've done on this thing so far has taken me less than 10 minutes to build and wick. So, I don't know what everybody's talking about, but that's what they're talking about. Alright, so cons. Cons on this? You know what? I don't think I've used it long enough to really determine true cons on it. But I don't think I'm going to run into anything. The only one con that I can come up with is that if you wick it and you've got too much wick on top of your coils, you're going to get a very strange airflow fluctuation, and it'll start to make some weird noises and shit like that. But you literally just have to move your cotton around until you get it to where it's not impeding your airflow. And the other only con that I have, and this is me personally, I don't like plain shit. I don't like plain black. I like to have, you know, colorful drip tips and shit like that. So it would be nice if it had maybe like an Ultim option that came with it, or a resin option that came with it that you could choose based on, you know, what you're using for a mod. But other than that, those are literally my only two cons with this thing. And they're not even really cons. They're subjective as all hell. They're my preference, so they're not cons that, you know, would affect most other people. And most other people are just fine with how it comes. So, now, cost of this. This is where a ton of shit... Hey, what? This is where a ton of shit has been said about this RDA. This RDA is $115. A lot of people are like, holy shit, $115. What are you, fucking crazy to vape, blah, 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 this, that, the other thing. Well, I'll tell you what. I have two Kennedy RDAs. Those RDAs were $125 a piece. I have 2 of them. And why? The quality, the excellence, the passion, the American made, the machining, all amazing. Same thing with this, and it's cheaper than a Kennedy. Now, just to give you guys an idea, people are screaming and yelling about a $115 RDA, but they'll go out and buy a $115 computer, which is complete garbage. So you just wasted your money. You can either get an A1 quality RDA for 115 bucks, or you can go get 7 shit RDAs for $10 off a 3F vape or some kind of bullshit website out there, or you can buy a bunch of clones that don't work or that work for a certain period of time. But why would you? I like to support. I'm a small business owner. I love it when people support me. I love to support other people who take pride in their work, who have a passion for what they do. Jay is one of those people. Brandon from Raven's Moon, also one of those people. They take pride in what they do. They stand behind what they do. And that's what sold me on this RDA, was the passion and the excellent craftsmanship that went into this, and also limited runs. So how do you get this thing? It's not easy. I was lucky enough to be in batch number 1. Got in batch number 1, which I believe is a batch of 250 of them. I got serial number 44, or HH, 44, which is amazing. It's below serial number 50. I'm so beyond stoked with the fact that I got this. So basically what you have to do is on the Facebook group Wicks and Coils, or be a Patreon of Jay Haze, and eventually, I think 3rd or 4th batch, they'll be available at vapelife.com. But for right now, you had to be on a list, and you had to have paid and waited, and you know, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, I've been waiting for this for a while, and I'm so glad I finally got it. I'm so glad that I finally got a chance to be thorough in using it and actually give it my own review, because I've seen so many other reviews on it, and it seemed like it was almost going to be not necessarily a letdown, but it seemed like it was going to be a lot of stuff to deal with. And I personally can say that I don't know what all the other reviewers had an issue with, because I don't have an issue with any of this thing. And maybe it's just the way that I vape. Maybe I'm different from everybody else, but the way that I vape, the way this thing is, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, it's 70 watts with a 0.18. Watch this. The vapor production is amazing. The flavor is just out of this world. It's on par with my Kennedys. So, holy shit. Hold on. Okay, we got it. We're good. So, if you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up. If you know what movie that's from, post it in the comments. You will not be disappointed with this thing at all. Again, quality, passion, workmanship, the whole 9. It is worth every penny of that $115. So, that's been the 502 RDA by Jay Haze and Raven's Moon. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoyed that review. Maybe I'll do some more if you guys are interested in it, but that is so far my 2 days with the 502 RDA, and I'm sure I'll have some more good stuff to say about it as time goes on. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will talk to you later. Have a great night.